Hello everyone. Let's go through some recent news and stories about the legendary Undertaker. The Undertaker was recently interviewed by Barstool Sports, where he discussed a variety of topics. At one point, the Deadman discussed one of his top rivals, The Rock. He joked about the Great One and called him a C-lister in Hollywood, while praising his WWE career at the same time. Here's what Taker said. "My mindset was like, I'm living my dream here. So, I didn't have aspirations of going to Hollywood and crossing over like that, which I got nothing against guys who do. I mean, jury's still out on whether it worked for The Rock or not, I don't know. Yeah, he's gonna be alright. Something like that. He's a C-lister." During a recent interview session with IGN, The Undertaker answered some fan questions. A fan asked the Deadman about a dream match with WWE Hall of Famer Sting. Here's what Taker said. "You know, I get that a lot. Sting stayed down in WCW for so long and then he went somewhere else and that window kind of closed and I know he kind of showed up at the end. The way people see that, it looks much better on paper than it actually would have been. It's one of those matches that people will talk about forever." The Rock had a lot of great rivalries during his time as a pro wrestler. Many of those rivalries came during the Attitude Era, which is the Great One's favorite era in pro wrestling. The Rock got nostalgic after watching a video of his match with The Undertaker on Raw back in the day, where the Deadman did his signature sit-up and The Rock then kicked him down and hit him with the people's elbow. Here's what The Rock posted about it on Twitter. "Good Lord, this era in pro wrestling, Attitude Era, was the best. Thank you to my friend and the man who's on my Mount Rushmore of wrestlers, The Undertaker, for always having fun with me so we can take care of the fans." The Undertaker was responding to some IGN comments during a recent interview segment. A fan made the following comment. "My favorite version of Taker is Big Evil. Just a kick-ass big guy. That's all that is needed, bring back Big Evil." Undertaker had the following to say about this. "Well, we kind of brought back a version of Big Evil for AJ Styles in the Boneyard match. I think that iteration of the character kind of brought all the 30 years together. It's the American badass Big Evil, all grown up into one. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. I think that's where we'll move forward when I do make appearances on TV." While speaking to Inside the Ropes, Shawn Michaels recalled the Montreal Screwjob, which took place in the main event of Survivor Series 1997. He said that he wanted to meet The Undertaker the following night on Raw and know his opinion on the whole incident. Here's what Shawn said. "As far as what everybody thought, hand to God, I didn't care. I asked about one dude. I went in, I said, where's Taker? Where's Mark? They said he's in there with Vince, and I said all right. That's the only person I went, I just need to know where he's at on this. I just need to know where he's at because if there's somebody you gotta sit there and have a chat with, it's gonna be him. For all this to move forward, he and I are gonna have to find a way to get simpatico on this." So clearly Vince knew the same thing. That's why he was the first guy he talked to the next day. To this day, because it's one of those things where so much has passed and we've never even discussed it. I've never asked him, what did he tell you in there? But I remember waiting on him, he came out, he walked up to me and he goes, we're cool. I'm like alright." The Undertaker faced off against AJ Styles in a Boneyard match at WrestleMania earlier this year. Taker used the American Badass gimmick and got a pretty long entrance with the theme song, Now That We're Dead, composed by Metallica. While speaking on a media call on Wednesday morning, WWE's chief brand officer, Stephanie McMahon, revealed that Metallica was supposed to be a part of Undertaker's WrestleMania 36 entrance by performing live at the Raymond James Stadium. However, the entrance got scrapped due to the event being relocated to the Performance Center because of the coronavirus pandemic. Stephanie said that Metallica still wanted to remain a part of Taker's entrance after the changes were made. When asked about the return of fans to WWE events, she said it would happen, sooner than later. While speaking to Inside the Ropes, Mick Foley discussed what the guys carrying him in a casket used to do every time he was put in a casket. Here's what he said. "On one level, I'm living out my dream. I'm enjoying more success than I ever thought possible. I'm shattering that glass ceiling. I'm working with one of the top guys in the history of the business. But at the same time, I'm going through a series of matches where I end up in a casket, where the goal of the match is putting me in a casket. The Undertaker was king of the casket match, and every night I'd end up in that casket. And every night they would slam that thing shut, and every night I'd be hyperventilating. And I'm being rolled to the back and hand slamming on the casket, and every night without fail, I screamed for someone to let me out. And every night they would keep me in for an additional 5 minutes as a rib. And then the next night I'd go, don't you dare keep me shut in that casket again. Every night they'd assure me they wouldn't, and every night they did. While speaking to Barstool Sports, The Undertaker revealed if he ever pitched a match with Sting in WWE before the Icon debuted in the company in 2014. Here's what Taker said about it. Not even once. I knew him from my days in WCW in the late 80s, but I never actually saw him again until he joined WWE. It's crazy that we never spoke. We never called each other and discussed, hey, would you like to do this mega match or whatever? My schedule was always full, there were always guys waiting to face me. Maybe it will remain something like a what could have been situation, kind of like what would have happened if Ali and Tyson faced off. In the bonus episode Tales from the Deadman of Undertaker: The Last Ride, The Undertaker revealed a gift he received from former SmackDown Tag Team Champion, Xavier Woods, of the New Day. Woods gifted the Deadman a custom-made gavel that says Judge Undertaker on it. Taker said he was blown away by it. He said that he hasn't used it in the wrestler's court, but he has used it to judge misbehaving children. Here's what Taker said. It's one of the cooler gifts I've received down the years. It means a lot to me. For those who don't know, Undertaker was always the judge of the wrestler's court in WWE. While speaking on My Mom's Basement podcast, The Undertaker discussed the ending of his WWE Network docuseries The Last Ride, and said that Vince McMahon didn't like it. He also teased the fact that he may be planning to do something at next year's WrestleMania. Here's what Undertaker said. It was in my thought process. I have a whole group of people who are like, you can go out and do this, people will go crazy. On the inside, I'm thinking, I don't move the way I used to move, it's a watered down version. I also love this business so much and love performing. It's almost like I needed somebody to put the bullet in there and stop. Once we started rolling with this, it was in the back of my mind, I can get to a point where this will solidify it and I won't have a choice. Originally, that's where I was at until I had to send the last 15 minutes to the chairman. He didn't like the ending at all. That's where we put the line back in there, never say never. I'm coming to grips with it. Obviously, as we get close to WrestleMania, I'll have that internal feeling like I should be getting ready for something.